The Great Escape from Boy's Life by Thomas Fleming. The 700 flyers in the prisoner of war camp called Stalag Luft 3 came from many countries: the United States, England, Canada, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Australia, South Africa. They had two things in common. All had been shot down fighting Germany during World War II in the early 1940s, and all were determined to escape. They had tried to escape from many other camps and had been caught. That's why these prisoners had ended up at Stalag Luft 3, deep in eastern Germany. It was supposed to be escape-proof. 2 9-foot-high barbed wire fences surrounded the camp. Between the fences were big towers equipped with searchlights and machine guns. The prisoners called the towers goon boxes. Day and night, specially trained groups of Germans, whom the flyers called ferrets, prowled inside the camp looking for escape activity. Anyone the ferrets caught planning an escape was sent to the cooler, a block of solitary confinement cells where the prisoner would live on nothing but bread and water. The escape genius. The Germans seemed to have thought of everything, but they did not count on facing Roger Bushell. This South African was an escape genius. He was called Big X by the rest of the prisoners. He transformed Stalag Luft 3 into the X organization, announcing to his fellow prisoners that they were going to pull off the greatest escape in history. Big X's plan called for the prisoners to start 3 tunnels, called Tom, Dick, and Harry. The men cut trap doors through the stone floors of 3 huts and inserted removable slabs made from stolen concrete. Tunnel rats dropped through the trap doors and began digging. Big X wanted deep tunnels. If they were too shallow, the Germans would be able to hear the men working in them. So despite the danger of the tunnels collapsing and burying them alive, the tunnel rats went down 30 feet before they started for the fences. The escape factory. The tunnels were only the beginning. I want each escaping man to be equipped with a set of forged documents that will fool the German police, Big X said. I want them to be wearing civilian clothes or fake German uniforms. I want them to have compasses and maps that will help them reach the borders of neutral countries. The X organization spotted weaklings among the ferrets and bribed them with chocolate from their Red Cross aid packages. Soon they had ink and pens, a camera, and a set of official documents. A forgery factory ran day and night. In other huts, prisoners created civilian clothes by cutting and reshaping prisoners' uniforms, the linings of winter coats and other pieces of cloth. An Australian flight lieutenant ran a factory that made 200 compasses out of melted phonograph records. The compass needles were slices of magnetized razor blades. An engineering factory built air pumps so the tunnel rats could breathe. The engineers also made small flatbed trolleys from wooden bedboards. They even stole light bulbs and wiring for the tunnels. The diggers lay on their stomachs in the 2-foot-wide tunnels and filled boxed on the trolleys with sand. Other prisoners poured the sand into bags made from towels, bags that could be inserted under a man's pants. 50 Americans worked as sand carriers. They were called penguins because they had to spend most of their time outside, walking up and down, waiting for the right moment to pull a string on the bags and let the sand run out. All around the camp were dozens of stooges who signaled when a ferret approached. This gave the forgers, tailors, penguins, and the others time to hide their work or take cover. 30 feet underground, the tunnel rats kept digging. Pretending defeat. Then disaster struck. The Germans discovered the trap door for Tom, the longest tunnel. The diggers had gotten past the wire fence and were only 100 feet from the woods around the camp. Big X ordered a halt to all digging for more than a month. They wanted the Germans to think they had given up. Then Big X ordered an all-out push in Harry. Soon they were under the wire, and they thought into the woods. It was time for the great escape. Big X was hoping to spring no fewer than 250 men. Not even a 6-inch snowfall was going to stop them. At 9 p.m. on March 24, 1944, the breakout began. Men wearing German uniforms, business suits, and tattered workers' outfits crowded into the hut containing Harry's trap door. At the other end, the tunnel rats finished the 30-foot shaft to the surface. They finally broke through and stared around in horror. They were 10 feet short of the trees. After a frantic conference, Big X decided they had to keep going. All their forged documents were dated. If they dug another 10 feet and waited a month for the next moonless night, the forgery factory would have to do its work all over again. They stretched a rope from the hole to the trees. The first man out lay in the trees and pulled the rope to signal when the guard in the nearest goon box was not looking. Over the next 7 hours, 76 men scuttled through the woods to freedom. It was almost dawn when a German sentry patrolling outside the barbed wire discovered the hole. The guard raised his rifle to shoot the man crawling out. The rope controller leaped from the woods, crying, "Nicht schießen! Don't shoot!" The startled guard's shot went wild. By this time, Big X and his friends were far away from Stalag Luft III. The German dictator Adolf Hitler was furious. He ordered one of the biggest manhunts in history. More than 70,000 policemen and troops pursued the fugitives. Big X's plan to humiliate the Germans and make them worry about escapees and not the war front was successful. But only 3 men, Peter Bergslin, Jen Mueller, and Bram Banderstock, made it to freedom. 50 of the captured men, including Big X, were shot by the German secret police, the Gestapo, at Hitler's order. This was an outrageous violation of the rules of war. The bodies were cremated to hide the murders. The rest of the escapers were returned to Stalag Luft III and other camps for long stays in the cooler. A year later, Allied tanks freed the survivors as Germany surrendered. After the war, the British sent a team of investigators to Germany. They tracked down those who had carried out Hitler's order. 21 were hanged for murder. 17 received prison terms. What had the Great Escape accomplished? One writer summed it up this way: "It proved that there is nothing that can stop a group of men, regardless of race, creed, color, or nationality, for achieving a goal once they all agree to what that goal is."